It's time this Sunday. The Fiend versus Randy Orton at Wrestlemania. This is going to be epic. But, much like most stuff on this channel, we need to dissect it, theorize it, and say, what could happen? The first thing to mention is the match stipulation. Of course, there isn't one. Everyone's always assumed that this would be a cinematic masterpiece, and I do think that's still to come, but this is going to be, I think, just an ordinary match in a wrestling ring at WrestleMania between The Fiend and Randy Orton, because that's a good thing anyway. Let's face it, if you was a paying fan attending WrestleMania, you're going to want to see this new demonic Fiend fight, right? But the cool thing about having an ordinary match is there will be an entrance. We could get a really cool Fiend entrance at WrestleMania. I'm super hyped for this because there's been a lot of teases online in the build-up to WrestleMania. Go back last year for WrestleMania 36 and Bray Wyatt teased bringing a freaking monster truck to the event. Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, in a monster truck. That's still something WWE could do. People will say, no, it wouldn't work with this new Fiend, but let's be honest. This new Fiend is the Fiend. It is the same Fiend we saw before, just burnt and scarred after TLC. I mean, would you want to be the person to tell this dude he can't have a monster truck? Thought not. We also had a really cool tease from Bray Wyatt on Twitter. Of course, Sam Roberts had tweeted out that someone should play Bray Wyatt's theme song at WrestleMania, and Bray Wyatt replied, I already got a band, and tagged Code Orange. Code Orange are the band that currently perform the Fiend's entrance song. I hope that happens because that would be super cool. There was also this tease on Twitter from Robert Taylor Jr., something all of you may have missed because this didn't get a lot of publicity. He tweeted out that he's got something coming at WrestleMania weekend. Hashtag the Fiend dance. You can see an image that he used alongside it on the right-hand side, and it looks like some kind of dance routine for the Fiend's entrance. Now, Robert Taylor Jr. did reply to a fan who asked, is Code Orange going to perform? And he turned around and said that that is what he's currently pitching here. Now, he's not sure if that's going to happen this year, but if not, he's definitely trying to give them the idea for next year's WrestleMania. So, we'll see what happens here. It's not a lock-in, but it's definitely interesting. Everyone do the Fiend dance. And let's not forget Randy Orton. Randy Orton has been this obnoxious heel throughout this entire rivalry. He still thinks he can beat the Fiend. Even after he set him on fire and he returned, Randy Orton still has a delusion he can defeat Bray Wyatt as the Fiend at WrestleMania. He is going to come out confident. To go with that confidence could be a major big entrance of his own. It's very, very plausible that he tries to have the grandeur of WrestleMania, but we all know he's going to die. And then there is the wild card in the situation. Little Miss Bliss, Alexa Bliss. Of course, Alexa Bliss will be at ringside, we think, for The Fiend. She's on the graphics for The Fiend versus Orton. It kind of makes sense. She has been huge part of this story. It would be stupid to leave her out of this stage. Now, there's been a lot of talk of Alexa Bliss getting a mask in recent days. So, is it possible that we get that debut of a mask at WrestleMania itself? Could you imagine during the entrance if she wore a mask? We could also potentially see a reveal and the actual indication on what's going on here. Does Alexa Bliss actually control the Fiend? We don't know for sure. We know she brought him back. We know she has that Fiend in a box that seemingly summons the Fiend. But does she control the Fiend? Is she the one now in control of this whole Firefly Funhouse world, maybe we get an indication to that at WrestleMania. That could be probably one of the most vital parts of the new Fiend story being revealed at WrestleMania. And I think that would be cool because this is a grand stage. You're going to want to give people something. This could be the big reveal at WrestleMania. All the reports currently say that the Fiend versus Orton will be, wait for it, if you don't like spoilers, leave the video now. All the reports say it will be a squash match. And this squash match will see the Fiend go over Randy Orton at WrestleMania and just obliterate him. That makes a lot of sense. You've just brought in this new monster. I say new, it is the old Fiend, but as a new version of himself. So you've just brought in this Fiend character. You can't have him lose. You can't have him go to WrestleMania and not defeat Randy Orton. It's very, very possible that this match ends in a no disqualification or a count out, or maybe the Fiend goes too far and the referee is forced to stop the match. That's possible. But I don't think in any way we see Randy Orton beat the Fiend at WrestleMania.
We interrupt this broadcast for an important message from Firefly Funhouse News. Newsbreak.
Now we know Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton's feud dates a long, long, long time back. All the way back to when Bray Wyatt was Husky Harris, in fact. But let's fast forward to 2017, when Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton actually clashed at WrestleMania. And obviously, we know Randy Orton defeated Bray Wyatt, but we're not talking about the result here. We're talking about the t-shirt they made for the match. This one. And you can clearly see that there's Abigail's crucifix, and in front of it is a viper facing a buzzard. And you can see the words Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton, the WrestleMania logo underneath. Well, WWE Shop have you covered for this match. They've pretty much done a cool update of it. You can see you've got fire in the background, the Fiend's new mask. Again, that viper snake seemingly crawling and slithering through the Fiend's flesh. I think this is a really cool t-shirt. It's not the same, of course it's not, but I love the inspiration and the whole life is a circle reference here with Bray Wyatt. It genuinely shows the continuity in the story between the two. But as I said, I really don't think this WrestleMania match is how it ends. Look at that t-shirt from 2017. That was not the end of the feud between Bray Wyatt and Orton. They continued on to Payback to have a House of Horrors match. Could we potentially see the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, versus Randy Orton at Money in the Bank, which is the next pay-per-view for WWE, in a Funhouse of Horrors match? This would be really, really cool because I think you can't do this feud and not end it on a supernatural, spectacular masterpiece. And I do think that's coming. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know what they're going to do. A fun House of Horrors match is just something that randomly I created because obviously House of Horrors, it makes sense. Fun House of Horrors. But I don't know if this is what they're doing. Let's just put this out there. That's a theory. Okay, people? But just enjoy this WrestleMania match. This is the first time we've seen the Fiend wrestle since December. We're now in April. 4 months. I can't wait to see what he's learned. Because we all know every time Bray Wyatt goes away, he comes back with something a little bit different, a little bit new, a little bit cooler. So let me know your thoughts on what could happen at WrestleMania between The Fiend and Randy Orton in the comments section down below. Like the video, share the video. If you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Turn on notifications so you don't miss a WrestleMania upload. And I'll see you as always next time. Thanks for watching. Peace!